In this poem, Death Be Not Proud, he dwells on the subject of death. That means he's talking about death. The whole poem revolves around the theme death only. It is not only that much what you're talking about. Death doesn't mean only rest. Death doesn't mean only sleep. It is something much more than that. Difference that is there between apostrophe and personification. Apostrophe, you are creating a character of your own. Personification, you are putting life to some character. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini, Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are here to understand one of the poems prescribed by University of MYSURU for 2nd Sem B.B.A. We are going to understand about Death Be Not Proud today. This is a wonderful poem and one of my favorite poems, I can say. So what is there in today's session? Let us understand. So in this module, you will be learning about the author first to begin with. So we'll just learn about the poet, then the theme, the summary, literary devices, and also the new words in the end. So let us start by understanding about the author. So who is the author of this poem? He is John Donne. So John Donne is famous as a metaphysical poet. So his poems used to be so profound, very philosophical, and so let me just tell you, it is relevant even for today's world. So he was an English poet and he was a scholar, also a soldier. So since he saw that death from a very near point, he has written this poem about death. So he talks to death in this poem. So his poems or whatever, like the profound philosophy, whatever he has written has abrupt openings, means he doesn't introduce anything. It is not the way a poem should start. He'll just abruptly start talking in the poem. And his poems also has various paradoxes, means all you can say irony is, the poems are filled with ironies, means the opposite facts it is filled with. So here you can see ironies are there, as I told you, ironies are there, and idea of true religion. So he is talking about the true religion, that is humanity. He doesn't argue for Christianity or whatever religion he belongs to, but he argues for humanity, the ethics of life he wants to give to the humans, that is the readers. So he is famous for his metaphysical poems. It is actually a little higher order of understanding, we can say. His poems actually contain lot of philosophy, profound philosophy, which is really ununderstandable by the common readers. But in order to understand that, you need to read in between the lines. Okay, so he is very famous as a metaphysical poet. If at all you get a chance to read many poems of John Donne, please do so. You will enjoy reading his works. So to begin with, we'll start with the theme of the poem. So what is the theme of this poem? What is there in this poem? What is the essence of this poem? So here poet John Donne talks about death. He talks to death rather. He personifies death. It is a literary device wherein he talks to death as if he is talking to somebody there in front. That means he treats death as a person. He gives a figure to that death. He picturizes it and he is talking to it. And now death is like a character in this holy sonnet. So this is a sonnet. Sonnet you already know. This is a poem of 14 lines. Okay, so sonnet is called as poem of 14 lines. This is different from your Kia sonnet. Kia sonnet, the spelling varies. It is S-O-N-E-T. This is S-O-N-N-E-T. So this is called as a holy sonnet. Means John Donne's poems, whichever is the sonnet there, they are all called as holy sonnets. This is also one among them. This is holy sonnet because he talks about death. He personifies death, and there are a lot of things he talks about death. Okay, so because of all these characters, this is considered to be the holy sonnet. John Donne uses the old-fashioned Elizabethan English. Means like in Kannada, you also have Hale Kannada. In Hindi also you have the same thing, right? Old Hindi and all that. Tulsidas, Kabir and all whatever they used, that is all old Hindi. Kannada also, what Basavanna, Kumaravyasa and all used, they all come under Hale Kannada. Similarly, in English also, we have this Old English. What John Donne wrote, John Milton wrote, then Shakespeare wrote, all these come under Old English only. Okay, so here also he uses the same thing, the same old English in his poems, that type of English that is sometimes referred as Shakespearean English. So Shakespeare he started it first, so that's the reason it is Shakespearean English only. That term is only fixed over there. So John Donne also uses the same type of English here. In this poem, Death Be Not Proud, he dwells on the subject of death. That means he's talking about death. The whole poem revolves around the theme death only. Okay, so and how to overcome it, how to overcome death. Yes, one cannot avoid death. You have to pass through it and you will overcome it. So how does this poet do this? How can somebody overcome death? Yes, let us see how the poet tells us, that is how to overcome the death. So let us start with the first stanza. That is the first 4 lines. Hope you all remember there are different parts in a sonnet. The 4 lines it is divided into, that is 4 into 3 stanzas. Okay, 4 lines into 3 stanzas. They are called as quatrains. The last one is called as a sestet. Okay, so hope this you remember. So now here the first stanza, that is the first 4 lines, you can see, death be not proud. So here this is an apposition. Apposition means he is talking to death. Here he is talking to death. He is calling death. He is addressing death over there. Fine. Death be not proud, though some have called thee. Thee means you. You already know, right? Mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkst thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, not yet canst thou kill me. Oh my God, it is so confusing. It is like a tongue twister, isn't it? But children, it's very easy to understand. Thou is you, fine. It is canst, it is like can't, thinkst, you think, something like that. Thinkst, you can just see this, leave this. Fine. So it is very easy to understand. Okay. So in easy language, if at all I have to tell you, death be not proud, he is talking to death and telling it not to be proud, though some have called you, that is thee. Mighty and dreadful. Few people might have called you mighty, that is very strong, and dreadful, which is very scary. For thou art not so. Art, it is are. Okay. For you are not like that. For you are not so. For those whom thou thinkst thou dost overthrow. For those who think that you are just going to overthrow, die not, poor death. You are going to die. Whoever tells that they are going to die, no, you are the one who is going to die. It is not the people who are dying. They are going to wake up eternally, but in turn you are going to die. How is that? You cannot kill me, not yet canst thou kill me. But you are the one who is going to die. I am not the one. You cannot kill me, is what the poet says. So this is the theme what he tells in the first stanza. For this, he suggests the solution in the coming stanzas. Okay. So just before we move on to the second stanza, let me just tell you about the rhyme scheme of this. So here you can see, if at all you are marking it as A, the, so, throw and so can rhyme. So I write B. The and me can rhyme. So you can write A. So what is the rhyme scheme? You can write it as A, B, B, A. So it continues in the next stanzas also. Okay. So this is the rhyme scheme A, B, B, A, C, D, D, C. So like this it goes on till the end. Fine. So this was all about the first stanza. So in the first stanza itself, he tells that death, you should not be proud, because when you kill somebody, you are not killing them. That person is not going to die, but you are the one who is going to die. What is the philosophy behind this? Let us move on to the next stanza. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be. Rest and sleep are just pictures over here. Okay. So they are not what you think like they are very dreadful. They are something different. Rest and sleep are something different that is nowhere related to you, death. Much pleasure, they are actually pleasurable. This rest and sleep, they are actually very pleasurable. Then from thee much more must flow. From these, when you rest well, when you sleep well, that means your energy flows more. There is a lot of energy that is flowing in you. And soonest our best men with thee do go. rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Now, he is telling that if at all death comes, that means maybe they are resting or maybe they are sleeping. So, he is comparing that death to rest and sleep. It is not only that much death. It is not only that much what you are talking about. Death doesn't mean only rest. Death doesn't mean only sleep. It is something much more than that. If at all the great men, very good people only die first. Isn't it? The people say that God likes good people, so only he takes off good people very early. So similarly here also, good people only go first. That means it is not that they wanted to rest because they were busy doing these good things. It is not that they are just going to rest or they are just going to sleep. It is much more than that. Fine. So it is something more. It is something related to their soul is what he says over here. Again, you can note the rhyme scheme here. Again, if you are marking it as C, D, again flow and go might rhyme. So this is B and delivery. Okay, so it is C. So again, this comes as C, D, D, C. Fine. So let us move on to the next quatrain and the last couplet here. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men. I'll read this stanza, then I'll tell you the meaning. And dosed with prison, war and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swellst thou then? One short sleep past, we awake eternally. And death shall be no more, death thou shalt die. There is some philosophy here. The last two lines are actually very profound. So let us start from here. So he tells death that, so till now you have seen that how the poet talks to death, how he is telling that few people are afraid of you, but there is something else that I have to tell you. So what does he say? Death is actually a slave to fate. If somebody is destined to die, then only death has to occupy them, isn't it? Death is a slave to fate. Chance, somebody dies, and here also kings. So when there is a war that is happening, so death only can occupy only during that time. And desperate men, who wants to die desperately, who wants to die, isn't it? In order to commit suicide, you should be desperate, you should be so frustrated that you commit suicide, then only that time the death can occupy. So here, and dosed with poison, yes, poison is another reason for death to occupy. Next comes the war or the sickness. Okay, so here poison, war, sickness, whatever, only those are the reasons for death to occupy here. Okay, so only if these reasons are there, death can come and occupy. If not, it is not at all possible for anybody to die easily, isn't it? So there should be some reason for death to occupy, death to come and take somebody. And poppy or charms, here he is talking about death completely, but here he is telling rest and sleep. He is comparing that over here. Okay, so poppy means drug. Okay, it's a kind of drug. And charms, again, it's a kind of magical spell. Okay, so even if somebody hypnotizes you, you can sleep well, isn't it? So this is nothing but a spell, magical spell, you can say. Even the drugs or magical spells can make you sleep, isn't it? It is not necessary that only death should come and make us sleep. It is drug or maybe any charm that makes us sleep. And better than thy stroke, you can sleep better here than the death, isn't it? Death, if at all death feels that it is just rest or sleep, but we have so many other things which can make us relieved, which can make us relaxed other than this death. When these exist, other, like apart from you, there is something else which can give us relaxation, there is something else which can give us happiness, there is something else which can give us a better rest compared to you, death. Then why do you swell thou? Why do you feel proud? You should not at all be proud. There are so many other things wherein pleasure can be found, not only death. Not because of you we are resting, it is because of something else also we can rest. Then why are you feeling proud of yourself? Death is what the poet asks the death. One short sleep past, here he is talking about the death. So if at all somebody sleeps, okay, one short sleep, that means he has crossed that the stage called death. Okay, the person just passes through that death. then we wake eternally. After they pass that sleep, after they pass that stage of death, that means that person is awake eternally, means he goes to a different stage. He goes to an eternal stage wherein death cannot affect him at all. He is in a different world, isn't it? So the person crosses that stage, that means his soul is liberated. That means death shall be no more. So now death cannot affect him, isn't it? So death cannot overtake that person at all. That means he has crossed that stage. He has overcome from that stage. That means death, thou shalt die. When death cannot affect any person, that means death is no more in their life. Isn't it? They don't have a life. They wake up eternally. That means death is not at all in their life. Death itself has died and not the person who has died. Because that person who has died and gone to a different world, he has woken up eternally. That means he'll be no more there to experience death anymore. Okay, so that means death has died in his life and not he has died. So this is the profound philosophy that John Donne is presenting over here. Okay, so hope you understood. Before we move on, let me just tell you the this one, the rhyme scheme. We finished till D, then we come to E, F, dwell and well, F, G, men and then, and these two rhyme. Okay, E, F, G, then H, this is H. Okay, so A, B, B, A, C, D, D, C, then E, F, F, G and H, H is the rhyme scheme of this sonnet. Okay, so each sonnet actually, be it Shakespearean or Petrarchan or any sonnet for that matter, it will have a rhyme scheme of its own. So John Donne used to follow this rhyme scheme. Okay, so we are done with a very profound philosophical poem here. So let us understand the literary devices here. So these are the literary devices that are existing in this poem. Let us begin with apostrophe, you can say. So apostrophe means there is no character that is existing, but the poet is talking to that character. That means here death is a character according to the poet. Death does not exist in this poem, but he is talking about death. He is talking to death, and that is called as apostrophe. Then comes personification. Personification is you are talking to a character. That is like here death is a person, like he is talking about. Okay, he is giving life to death in this poem. Okay, so here death is actually personified. Fine. Just there is a minute difference that is there between apostrophe and personification. Apostrophe, you are creating a character of your own. Personification, you are putting life to some character. So here it does not exist at all. Here it exists because of apostrophe and you are giving life to that. So be careful what you are talking about. Then metaphor, it's just a comparison. So he is comparing death to sleep and rest. So that is metaphor. Alliteration, repetition of same sound in the beginning of the word. Okay, so make sure you look for alliterations in the poem because I don't want to go back to the previous slides now. Then we have assonance. Assonance is repetition of vowel sounds, A, E, I, O, U. Those sounds, if they are repeated, then it is called as assonance. Then we have irony. Irony is the paradoxical situations that is put together in a sentence. Okay, so he talks about death, who is very strong or something like that. At the same time, he tells it not to be proud. Okay, so there is irony. And okay, so here there is metonymy also. Metonymy is nothing but you are talking to some person, something, some character. Okay, so that doesn't exist at all. Means you are having a close relationship to something else. So here he is relating death to afterlife very closely. So that is metonymy. So new figures of speech which you have come across is probably apostrophe, then metonymy and irony. Irony, yeah, nothing but something very related to the paradoxes. Okay, so that is the characteristic of John Donne's poems. Okay, so apostrophe and metonymy are the new ones, so you need to pay little attention to that. Okay, so any doubts in this, I'll be always there for you to clear in the physical classes. So let us have a look at the new words that are there in this poem. So first thing we came across was mighty, which means strong. Okay, so then we have dreadful, that is fearful. Dread is nothing but very scary or fear. Thou is you, as I told you before. Dost, that is do, that is in second person. First person, second person, you know, right? So that is I do, that is first person. You do, that is second person. Fine. Then canst, it is can. Okay, you just need to eliminate these. Okay, like thinkst, st we eliminated and saw that it is think only. Okay, so this is can, then thy is yours, I already told you before, then shalt, it is shall. So remove this t and then you can use this. Okay, yes, to understand Old English it is little difficult, little cranky you feel, but if you understand, that is one of the most wonderful languages that you are going to understand. Okay, so this was the summary about the first poem in your syllabus, that is Death Be Not Proud. Hope this session was useful to you. Please read this wonderful poem and be prepared for the class. Read this poem, then go through the recorded lecture. You will understand it better and you will be able to enjoy what is poetry. Okay, so let us meet again in the second poem in our next session. So till then, keep learning. Thank you for your time. So see you soon, children. Bye-bye.